imaginary. Ironically titled because it doesn't seem there was any imagination put into this at all.
Gotta. Hello, and welcome to HAZMAT, the only show that is being screened all the way in Screen 22.
That's too many.
We've got to go all the way down the bloody corridor.
All those stairs.
Up the stairs, around the corner, and then the screen turns out it's just like 2 seats.
It's 2 seats and they make you face each other.
You're not even facing the screen. I'm Matt.
And I'm Harry.
And this is the monthly thing, where we're going to talk about every new film we saw in March of 2024, and talk about whether we recommend them, what we thought about them, and just generally how we feel.
Spoilers ahead, I didn't see any. I passed out, I kind of blanked out for the whole month. I just don't remember anything.
No, I didn't see any either because I was just facing you the whole time. Well, let's just get right into it. There's no big intro for this one. We don't need to explain anything. You know the drill by now. We're free in. Let's just get into it, man.
Free ball
Let's get into it. And the first film we're going to talk about
has got 3 words in the
title.
title.
Has got 3 words.
And was set in the past.
You don't think?
And is about a fractious relationship between 2 characters.
Wicked Little Letters.
Oh no, I was talking about a Goofy movie. It fits the bill. It fits the bill.
Fit your bill in a minute.
We put it in right away. Right.
I thought we'd at least make it through like 2 or 3
Oh,
films
there it is.
Before we
it's right there. Maybe he'll come back. He's always watching.
Get away from me! Wicked Little Letters is
a film.
A great film. It's a great film.
A film, first and foremost.
First and foremost, it's a film, so it's got that going for it. That's why it's ended up on this list. Lots of swearing.
A little too much effing and jeffing for my taste.
Fucking hated that swearing. No, this is like it's a proper like British comedy. It felt like to me. It's got a bunch of proper comedy stars.
Yeah, and it feels like we haven't had one in a little while.
Yeah, it seems like it's kind of been lacking. That's again, we've mentioned it a couple of times, but comedy has kind of been more focused on TV shows lately. That's kind of where comedy, like pure comedy, has been. And it's just been slowly coming back to cinema over the last sort of year or two. And so it's cool to just see like another proper British style comedy.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, I think maybe like Yesterday might have been the most recent one since that I saw.
Yeah, and to be honest, that's like more of a rom-com, I suppose, with like a fun premise, you know. But yeah, that's probably a good example of like a recent, just all around like British.
There's probably
style
been
thing.
Some about. I just haven't.
Yeah, there'll have definitely been some. But
this was
so hard to keep
the most recent big one. Even though we talked about like the marketing for it a little bit, where you mentioned that you just hadn't seen any trailers for it outside the cinema.
Well, because like the plot revolves around so much like swearing and these like really offensive letters that it's like in the trailer they obviously have to say that stuff. Otherwise, like how are you gonna ever like get across what it's about? So yeah, I did notice I've only ever seen it in the cinema for like other, like adult-oriented movies. That makes it sound like I'm seeing porn. That's not what I meant.
No, you can't put that shit on TV.
Yeah, a lot of fun. Just a lot of fun. Olivia Colman, fantastic as always. Timothy Spall was great. I'm becoming a huge fan of Jessie Buckley accidentally. I just seem to have seen a lot of her stuff lately. I'm excited to see what she does next. I think she's really cool.
I think it's Alicia Weir who plays the young girl, the daughter in it. I hope she doesn't get trapped in that whole scene of where they do that whole.
I
hope someone doesn't throw her into a pit and not let her out.
That would be horrible for her career.
No, I hope she doesn't get trapped in that limbo of you do a bunch of stuff as a kid and then that's it. You can't really do anything else because you're just known as a child actor.
Yeah, because you mentioned she was Matilda.
She was Matilda in the film adaptation of the musical.
Film adaptation of the musical, which is an adaptation of the film, which is an adaptation of the book.
The book, yes.
Yeah.
And she's going to be Abigail when that comes out as well.
Oh, yeah.
The vampire ballerina. So already a diverse
filmography.
Stock.
Yeah, she's making moves.
But I think that's a smart move. Once you get a horror movie under your belt, maybe that's the key to escaping child actor limbo.
Yeah.
Because when Macaulay Culkin do it, he pretty much just exclusively did kind of family comedies.
Family, like kids' films, yeah. Once she's done a horror, then it's like, oh, we can take this actor seriously now, even though they're young. I think she's going to make it.
Yeah,
I think she's going to make it in this town.
Not like Jonathan Lipnicki. I wonder what he's doing these days.
But no, yeah, Alicia Weir provided this kind of emotional core to this story as well, between her and Jessie Buckley's character, her mother. I thought that was like a nice undercurrent to the whole thing, and a cool like story between Olivia Colman's character and her family, and kind of she sort of comes into her own. She's this very repressed, old-fashioned Christian woman. She's still living with her parents, and then eventually it's about like she's the villain the story, if you can call it that, but it's about her becoming like more independent and more herself.
An interesting way to do it, because I read up a little bit on the story that it was based on, and the actual Edith Swan in real life, it seemed more of an act of spite and maliciousness, whereas she had a falling out with Rose, and she'd started doing it purely in the intention of getting her in trouble.
Okay, that's interesting, because the film spins it in that she did care about Rose. She's just doing this thing it's like catharsis almost.
It's a much more like Hollywood kind of story.
Yeah.
Because you kind of get the sense of, obviously, it's more Timothy Spall's character that you see as the villain of the whole piece, rather than because he's a very controlling figure in her life.
Yeah.
Going to prison and getting caught in the end is kind of, it's an escape for her, it's a release.
Yeah, it's the irony of she's been locked up, but that's like
the most
best
freedom
thing that
she's
could happen.
ever had.
Yeah. Absolutely a recommend from me.
Yeah, same.
Absolutely. Next up, Immaculate. Sydney Sweeney's latest.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't see most of it. They kicked me out.
I think we know why. You're just barking way too loud.
Oh, no, it was because I screamed. It's a scary movie.
It is a scary movie. It is a scary movie. I liked it. I quite liked it.
I think it's one of the better horrors we saw.
Very simple concept. Nothing too like flashy. I don't know.
It's out to tell quite a simple story, and it does it quite effectively.
Yeah, it's efficient. It's like a neat 90 minutes, and it's just like in and out, and it's tells a satisfying tale.
I said it was kind of interesting as well in that every time I saw a trailer for that film, it seemed very much like it was going to be like a supernatural demons and exorcism kind of movie, and then you go and see it and it's actually not that. It's more about like the extreme ultra violence, almost like a slasher flick, but it's more like a group that's perpetrating it rather than a singular villain.
Yeah, it sort of goes through a few different. There's like a cult vibe there as well, kind of like a Wicked Little Letters, sort of a take on how controlling like the church can be, and like religion, Christianity, and how that can repress people or make them do insane things. I wanted to mention this because after we'd seen it, luckily ended up seeing a trailer for this film as a advert, and it showed the entirety of what is pretty much the final shot of the film. Her like incredibly cathartic scream, the culmination of the entire film, and like the moment you've been waiting for. And it's just in the trailer, and all the quotes coming up like, the ending will shock you, the ending is crazy. I was like, is that how you're marketing this film? Like, what the ending is? Just seems insane to me.
It's so stupid, especially with a horror movie.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know if I mentioned it on the channel before, but it was the movie Wreck, and in the trailer they show the very final shot of the film, which is like the last scare of the movie, and it shows it in the trailer. I'm like, why?
It's crazy.
Why?
It's insane. Did you ever watch the menu? Because there was a trailer for that.
No, I've been meaning to.
And pretty much the final shot is in the trailer as well. Yeah. And it's just like, I understand that seeing without context, like, you're not going to get it, but it's just insane to me to show that stuff. I don't know, it's crazy. But I feel like sometimes with horror as well, like, the ending isn't what you're going in there for. No, it's more about the journey on the way and the experience and the scares and like
generally
the atmosphere.
Horror movies often have a very similar ending. It's either everyone dies or one person doesn't.
Yeah, because they have to end eventually, so it's just like an ending. I mean, this film was different because it was quite an important ending, like conclusion. But I feel like horror's more about the journey there. And there was some cool stuff in this film on the way. There was some really interesting visuals and weird stuff, and you don't quite know what's going on until you do. And it just sort of like landed it well. Solid as hell. Solid as a goddamn brick.
Solid.
Recommend from me.
I'm giving it a recommend. Normally, I probably wouldn't have, because it is one of those things where like it's pretty good. I don't know whether it's good enough to warrant a recommend. But I don't know how many times throughout the year I'm going to be able to recommend a horror movie.
Exactly,
so.
Yeah. It's so funny, it's like your favourite genre, but then like so many that come out are just
They're
bad,
so
and you have
bad.
to like hate them. Next up, Ricky Stanicky. Could not be a more different vibe from Immaculate.
I don't know. Basically the same. In a way, if you
Can't
really
believe they
look
showed
at
the
it,
final scene.
can't believe they showed the final. Oh my god.
Can't believe it. We're back to a comedy again. Comedy's back, baby. I'm gonna keep saying it.
We're doing it. We're really pushing for comedy this year.
We are pushing for comedy. Come on, people. We can get more out. We know it. This felt like not 2000s, early 2010s, probably specifically that style of comedy that you'd find in like a DVD that's got like 3 films in it in Home Bargains. You know, the old like Friends with Benefits, Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
I was thinking
that sort of
similar
era
kind
of
of
films.
vibe to like a Knocked Up, that kind of
That sort of like Judd Apatow era of comedy films. It sort of brought that vibe again, which is it's always been an era that I enjoyed growing up. I always loved those Judd Apatow films, and this brought that vibe to it. And I think it's just it was a silly concept, but everyone committed so hard to it that it worked. And especially the star of the show, Mr. Cena. I don't know if that would have worked with many other people. I think because he is who he is, and he's so good at being like silly and committing so hard to the bit that no matter like how dumb the storyline is or how dumb the bits are, like he makes it work because it's just enjoyable to watch him do that.
Especially like for someone like me that grew up watching John Cena in wrestling, to see what the character he's portraying here is a bizarre experience because in wrestling, John Cena's always been like the main man. He was always pushed as this almost invincible superhero type archetype that would like blitz through and just win everything and beat everyone. And then to see him in this, and he's like the most pathetic individual.
Yeah, he's like a
you
really
can
insecure
imagine.
guy. But then again, he sort of accidentally keeps winning throughout the film.
Yeah.
He gets the job and he gets promoted, and he just keeps like going up and up and up in this world that he's accidentally been pulled into. He just plays all of that off so well. Shout out to William H. Macy, my main man, Frank Gallagher. I always gotta shout out when someone from Shameless shows up in these. I'm just collecting them like Infinity Stones now. Just other things that they've all been in.
Bizarre to think that last month we were watching Zac Efron in like this incredibly emotional prestige drama.
Yeah.
And now he's just in a goofy comedy.
Yeah.
Which also is related to wrestling, though.
True. I was going to say, that's weird, actually. 2 wrestling adjacent movies this year.
What's going on, Zach?
What's he got
Zach?
going on?
Are you trying to hint something?
What's he got up his sleeve, huh? What's he planning? WrestleMania
is right around the corner. You don't think?
If he comes out, oh boy.
Oh boy.
To We're All in This Together. Wouldn't that be a great opener?
It's got to be.
We're all in this together.
That's the one.
And again, it shows his range. He's kind of coming back. I feel like he wasn't really in the limelight for a while.
He's been sort of here and there. There wasn't anything like major he did and stuff.
I mean, he's done a lot of this sort of comedy, like Bad Neighbors,
like The Neighbours
and stuff like that. There was one called like That Awkward Moment or something that was a similar sort of the frat boy comedy sort of thing. Again, harkening back to like Judd Apatow era stuff, and so this is kind of a version of that, but he's a more grown-up character, I guess.
Yeah, that's right. You're getting old. Zac Efron's old now. That means you're getting old.
Zac Efron's old now, man. Again, recommend for me if you like that comedy that I've been talking about, that style, I suppose.
I'd say similar.
It's probably not for everyone. I can see people watching this and being like, what the hell? It's like too silly, probably.
Yeah, because I didn't particularly like some of those older ones that you mentioned. I thought they were like fine, but like I'm never gonna go back and watch like Knocked Up again because I didn't care for it. I didn't think Forgetting Sarah Marshall was that great. It's got like one good scene in it.
Is it the one where he's fully naked?
Oh no, it's when he does the Puppet Vampire musical.
Oh yeah, that was good.
But yeah, this one got some laughs at me. I enjoyed it.
And again, I think it's the commitment from all the actors.
Got to do the commitment to the bit.
That's how you pass these things off. Is you have to just go fully in. If you're not committed, it's not going to work, is it? Next up, Late Night with the Devil.
Finally, like an actual, like I can very easily say a good horror movie.
Yeah, wow, we've got 2 horror recommends from you in one video. Who'd have thought?
That'll be it for the year, probably.
That'll be it. This is all of
Judging by what's still to come.
It's absolutely peaked.
that might be it.
Well, we're going to enjoy it while it lasts.
I
really enjoyed this as well. Sort of a found footage / mockumentary style. Kind of a bit of both.
Yeah, it's like an interesting take on the found footage formula because
it's not like
it's not handheld shaky cam
stuff. Yeah, it's like old tapings from a late night show funnily enough. And it was cool to see David Dalmation, who we've mentioned a few times on this channel, in a like a lead role, not like a bit part or a side
not
character.
an Ant-Man.
Not an Ant-Man.
He's not an Ant-Man.
It's cool to see him playing something different than Ant-Man.
Yeah, he's just Ant-Man in everything.
He's always just Ant-Man.
He's always just Ant-Man, and this time he's not. Hell of a career for David Dalmation. That's it, right?
I don't know if that's. I'll fix that in post.
No,
I'll fix it.
No, that's him. That's his name.
That's not.
That is
that's
what
not
he's
his name.
called. That is genuinely what he's called.
David, no, it's not.
Google it. Google it. That's what he's called. David Dalmation. He was in Ant-Man. He was in the Suicide Squad.
Oh, wait,
among other things.
This says David Dalmation.
See.
Am I wrong?
Yeah, I don't know what you've been saying this whole time. What a bizarre experience.
Yeah, it gets quite surreal, this film. It's a slow burner, but it works, and I like that. It had to earn its like big moments, and because it was like a found footage, if shit just started happening straight away, they wouldn't be airing it anymore. But it just the pacing is really good. It works really well to build up and ramp up and like have these big moments, and then it sort of calms down again, and then like another thing happens, and you're sort of left in the dark as to what's actually going on until like I suppose the big possession scene, I guess.
Yeah. It's nice to have a found footage movie where it's justified why everything's caught on camera.
Yeah, because they're like keep rolling.
Yeah, because I've seen like Wreck is a movie I really enjoy, and that has a similar explanation because they're filming a late night kind of fly on the wall documentary show, so it explains why the camera's there to begin with, but it's clearly like because it's a TV camera, it would very much like hinder you if you're trying to run away from stuff. So it doesn't explain why they're still recording the whole time.
Yeah. That's the thing with that sort of genre is you do have to keep justifying why they're still holding it. And some of them just don't really bother. They're just like, they're just still filming.
Whatever.
Yeah. But no, like you say, there's this producer character that is just like keep going. Some of the other characters are doubting it and like, no, we shouldn't do this. So he's like, no, this our ratings have never been higher right now.
I think that's part of why I enjoyed it, is very much harkened back to, because I think it was set during the 70s.
Yeah.
And it kind of harkens back to earlier horror movies with the fact that like a lot of the actors in it are really kind of like hamming it up. And doing it almost like in a very camp kind of way, especially the skeptic, who's like every scene is like, oh, this is a load of poppycock, it's all hogwash. And I think that just adds to it. It was very much like an authentic feel.
Yeah, it gave it a nice continuing conflict throughout, and it gave another perspective to focus on as well. It wasn't just like, oh, what spooky thing is going to happen next. It was this like constant to and fro between all these characters as to like what's happening. Is it real? And like I say, it played it off so well as a late night format to have all these guests, and then like things just start getting a bit more anarchic and like chaotic.
I don't know what it is about it as well. This felt like, if anyone has ever seen the VHS movies, the like anthology horror, it felt like a segment from that, but like extended into a full motion picture, especially sort of when the climax hits.
Yeah,
it gets all kind of crazy and wacky, and I think it's because they've been given a lot of creative freedom to take it in a way that they want to, because sort of the big Hollywood horror movies, especially the ones I've talked about before and some of the other monthly things, stuff like Night Swim, is very clearly like influenced by most likely like a focus group or like a board of directors or something. There's some higher power that's interfering with the production, and that's why they all end up being very carbon copy of each other.
Yeah, it's just an amalgamation of corporate ideas and what they think people want.
Yeah.
I also wanted to mention there's been a discussion about AI art in this movie. I don't know if you've seen all of that stuff. The title cards in between like the ad breaks.
Yeah.
But also it's in the background of his logo on the door or whatever that they all come in on the drum kit. I think there's like similar images, and it's just such a like, I think a lot of people are just like, oh, it's just like a couple of images. I think the producers came out and said it's just a couple of images, like it's only for a few seconds at a time, like what's the big deal basically is like what they said. But it's the like principle. I'm very like anti-AI art, and it's the fact that it's starting to make its way into like proper productions like that is just like really disheartening. I feel like it's not that hard to just hire a graphic designer to do the logo for a late night show. Like, why do you need to use AI for that? Like, have you really saved that much time and money? Like, if you're making this film felt very passion project-esque, didn't it? It was because it was, it felt like there was a lot of passion. It was an interesting concept. It was unique, like you say. It didn't feel that much like a board of directors just like having some formulaic ideas or whatever. But I don't know. I just wanted to mention it.
Yeah.
It just sucks that happened.
No, I'm
But
100%
fuck
like AI art is something I'm fine with if it's for like personal use.
it's when it's integrating real productions and taking jobs away from actual
Yeah.
artists that have worked their way up into the industry, and which is like an incredibly hard thing to do anyway, whether or not you've got robots like racing you as well to it.
I think it's time. Robot uprising. It's happening.
It's happening.
It's happening. It's already happening.
Oh god, we're gonna be replaced, man. As soon as AIs learn how to joke, we're done.
As soon as they learn how to draw hands properly,
God no.
then we
It's
won't-
just like
we won't
weird
know.
sketches of us. And
They'll assimilate.
it's gonna take all of our like clips of our videos, and it's just gonna do AI like, "Hey, it's our boy. Here he is." Just every film
Can't wait for the text to speech.
has my AI version.
I don't know whether we said already, but just to reiterate, that it is a recommend,
Yes,
probably from both of us.
a recommend from me. Absolutely, I'm a big fan of the mockumentary sort of style
Yeah.
it took, and that's a big part of why I liked it. We are now segueing into the films we saw separately as separate people with separate lives.
It sets us up, I think, a nice segue from like a great and unique and interesting horror film into one that sucks.
Speak of the devil.
No, don't,
Literally.
because not in this one. Not in this one.
Oh, what's the point?
Unless you imagine him.
Oh.
Because I went to go see Imaginary, ironically titled because it doesn't seem there was any imagination put into this at all.
Gotta.
The highest compliment I can give this movie is that at least it's better than Night Swim.
I think you said that for something last time as well.
I said it for Baghead.
Okay.
At least it's better than Baghead.
Okay, so we're working our way up slowly.
It's still like, come on. What were they thinking? Why? They had such a unique concept where they could have really done anything with it. The whole concept of this movie is that the demon that is haunting this family, they start getting haunted by this demon creature, which effectively acts as an imaginary friend for the youngest child. And you think with that, they could take like whatever form, they could do whatever they wanted with it. No, they tried to make a teddy bear scary.
Can't be done.
That's what they opted for. They went into a meeting and said, we can do this, and then turned out they couldn't.
That seems like that's where the whole thing came from. Is like, can we make a teddy bear scary?
They tried to Stephen King it.
Yeah.
Stephen King could have done it.
Stephen King could have done it easily.
There's a lot of frustrating things about it. The number one thing, it's another the old cliche of they move into a new house at the beginning. My biggest gripe is that the mother in this is an illustrator. She writes like children's books and illustrates them. And her
Don't tell me she gets into AI art.
And her partner is a musician.
Don't tell me you get to do AI music.
My gripe is how'd they afford a home? How'd they afford a suburban home?
That's a good point.
With those careers.
No one makes money from the arts these days.
No one makes money from the arts
Unless
these
you're
days, not with the
Drake.
AI. I get why they did it, because like they kind of introduced this whole, they try and justify it by saying that this woman's being targeted because she's a creative, and that
Right.
means her imagination is stronger because she's a creative type. What would have been cool is if we like seen some of that come to fruition, because you only see the monster, the demon, in like 3 forms throughout this movie. You see it in teddy bear form, you see it as like a weird spider monster, and then you see it as like a really big bear, like a big monster bear, and that's it. And then, like they could have done anything with this.
It feels like if you're centering a plot around use of imagination, you could make this incredibly surreal, visually interesting movie. But it sounds like they just chose to not do that.
Oh yeah, hey, it's interesting you should mention that, because towards the end of the movie, basically throughout the whole runtime, this little girl has kind of befriended this imaginary demon creature, and he has a list of things that she has to do so that the demon can take her back to his realm. And they talk about how like, oh, this is like this imagination realm where anything's possible here, and it's so boring to look at. They tried to make it interesting. You know that famous painting, like the crazy stairs where they're all going like
The Escher
completely like
painting, yeah.
It's that, but they put a blue filter over everything, which like, I don't know, I wonder where they got that from. A movie where they go into like the demon world and everything is blue? I wonder where they got that from.
Bit of an insidious practice there, if you ask me.
Wink wink. But they never do anything with it. Literally, they mention there's definitely like a line of dialogue where it says anything is possible in this world. So it's like the only thing we see is blue staircases and the little girl recreated her bedroom.
Sounds like a bit of a missed opportunity there.
I shouldn't have even mentioned the dad character really, because
I shouldn't even mention the movie, to be honest.
He, about 20 minutes in, probably even less than that, he drives away, he goes on tour with his band, and then that's it. It's like all you see is...
He's got...
There's whole characters in this movie that
That's
serve
really weird.
no purpose.
That's really odd. Yeah, why is he there then? Not even coming back later to save them or anything, just...
He comes back later in a scene, which is like one good bit. Well, one interesting concept, which I have already seen in another movie and done better. Basically, they go into the demon world, they rescue the kid, they come out, and then they go to, I think it's like a psychiatric hospital, because the mother character, her dad, basically lost his mind, like saving her from the demon as a kid. So they go to visit him in this ward, and this like big happy ending, and then he starts saying some malicious shit, and it's like, uh-oh, I'm still here, aren't I? Like, you tricked me. And then they just leave anyway. That trick doesn't work if you're wanting the movie to end. It's like you're extending it for no reason.
Not great at all.
Just commit to the ending, man. Just do it.
This movie went on for 5 hours,
Let
didn't
me
it?
go,
They just didn't
please.
let me out.
Every time it looked like it was ending, it was just a trick.
And they locked the door, didn't they?
It was a gag, it was a visual gag. You wouldn't let me go.
People were banging on the door. Let us out. It's been 7 hours. It's still going.
But
So I'm guessing a not recommend.
yeah, no recommendation for Imaginary. Probably just throw it on the heap.
Throw it on the fucking pile with the rest of them.
It's becoming I guess it's just a recurring bit at this point. It's like a whole segment of the monthly thing now. Is there's going to be at least one bad horror
Gotta
movie,
be a horror
you
film
know?
that you do not like.
You know, once is an accident, twice is a coincidence.
Fool me
Three
once.
is a pattern.
Yeah. Next up, I'm going to talk about Eureka. This is an interesting film. It's a challenging film. It's a long film. It's in 3 parts, and each one explores a different element of indigenous America. And it's a sort of spiritual journey. It's very surreal. The 3 parts are very different. The first one is like a black and white western starring Viggo Mortensen. That zooms out. The second part is like a Fargo-esque small town police thriller in a way. And then part 3 is like a sort of drama about this guy escaping his tribe and trying to find like work. It's challenging in that it really tests like your attention span. Some of these shots are so egregiously long, but like deliberately so. It's almost, there's certain scenes that are almost real time, and it just leaves so much room for like, I don't know, reflection, thought processes, like just being able to have this like space. You're just really in there with them in that way. And I just thought that was kind of interesting. At the time, I was a bit like, jeez,
Boy.
this is but when you come out after, you're like, no, actually that was right. I think it was the right atmosphere to do it. It was such a surreal yet grounded vibe that it just worked. It holds your attention if you are willing to do so, you know what I mean? It challenges you to kind of work with it, to kind of like be taken on this journey. It's like nothing I've really seen. It was just so unique. The 3 parts were so different in and of themselves, and at the end, I was just sort of stunned. Really feels sort of really epic and large but small at the same time. I can't even really talk about it properly because it's just so unique that like the words aren't really there. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's
very
kind
much
of one
as
of
an
those ones where you
experience.
have to experience it rather than
and again,
like, hear about it.
It's a bit of a cinema film, like I mentioned with Samsara last time. It would work, but I think because I was sat there and I had to sit there the whole time, I think I admit I don't know if I would have made it through at home, but because I was there in it, I was fully focused on this thing. I was sat there in the waiting room with her for 3 fucking solid minutes. I was on a car journey for like real time up this road. Just all these scenes, it just lets it breathe, and then it lets it breathe further, and then you're like out of breath.
Yeah.
So recommend if that sounds good to you.
Brother, I can't believe you just glossed over the fact that Viggo Mortensen's in it.
Yeah, Viggo Mortensen's in it?
That's Aragorn.
He's in it.
That's Aragorn.
So if you like
put
him,
some respect on his name.
He was the only like star of the show. Everyone else was no name.
Was just people.
Actors. That's really mean to say that. No name. I didn't mean about that. I didn't mean like that.
Everyone else was a
I didn't mean
fucking
that.
piece
I
of
don't fucking
shit
know who anyone
loser.
is. I didn't recognise anyone.
Fucking nobody.
Where the fuck's Tom Cruise? Where's Sydney Sweeney? Where's Mr. Timothy Chalamet?
Where's Tom Cruise? Where's Tom Holland? Where's Tom Hardy?
Tom Hardy.
Where's Tom Hollander?
Tom Hollander.
Where are they?
Tom Hiddleston.
Tom Hiddleston. Where are they?
Where are they all?
Where are the Toms?
Where
the
are
Tom
they?
Dynasty. Where are they?
But yeah, I did sort of gloss over the fact Viggo Mortensen, isn't it? But he is in this the Wild Western section.
As Aragorn.
It's a film playing on the TV of the people in the next section. So but you're in the film until it pulls out the TV. He's not playing Aragorn in this, but it's filmed like an old black and white Western as well. Fun time. Well, fun's probably not the right word, but interesting.
Interesting. Yeah, I'll keep the next couple I want to talk about brief. I don't think there's masses to say about them. I probably feel like a similar kind of vein between the two of them. So I'll talk a little bit about Lisa Frankenstein and Drive-Away Dolls, which are both marketed as comedy movies. I guess Lisa Frankenstein is more of a horror comedy. I can't say I'd recommend either of them. For me, the comedy just didn't hit. I know we've been like bigging up about the fact that comedy's
back, baby.
Comedy's back.
Oh, never mind.
But I appreciate that they're trying new things. Sometimes it's not always going to land. I wanted to like both of them. I probably would watch them again, but not for the comedy aspects. I think Lisa Frankenstein is a fun kind of love letter almost to like classic 80s slashers. It's all about like the big hair and like the fun soundtracks. It is a take on the Frankenstein story, except it's twisted because it's almost seen that the creature that was resurrected isn't the monster. It's the person that resurrected them is.
I suppose that's kind of Frankenstein, yeah.
In a way, yeah.
That's the sort of the idea, isn't it?
But like nobody ever treats like I suppose because they never really see them. It's Catherine Newton in the lead, and then Cole Sprouse as the resurrected creature. I think he is just credited as the creature.
I think he is just credited as Cole Sprouse, not Dylan.
Not Dylan. It is not Dylan. Specifically, Dylan is not in this. It is just Cole. But he only gets like I think a couple of lines of dialogue right at the end. For the most part, he is doing like the zombie, just like moans and making noises.
Okay.
And it's a very physical performance.
Right.
So basically, there's a romance that develops between the two of them. But it's one of those movies where, similarly to Drive-Away Dolls, they expect you to kind of laugh about the fact that it's just talking about adult content. The jokes aren't particularly well structured, and there's no real like setup or punchline. The joke is just that, oh, we're talking about sex, do you get it? Laugh. At least that's how I saw it while I was watching. And that very much with Drive-Away Dolls was kind of how it was. Different movie, not a horror, more of like a crime caper. It's about these two lesbian girls who go on a drive away, and they go on this sort of like little road trip together, and they also have like a budding romance, which is kind of the sweet like heart of the movie. It is done quite well in the fact that it's sort of like an odd couple movie. One of them is this loudmouth Texan who's very, very confident, very chatty, and very, very open and liberal about their sexuality, and then the other one's very conservative and traditional. But again, it is just one of those ones where it's just the fact that the more confident one is constantly talking about sex, and the other one's very uncomfortable with it. And on paper, maybe
sex
that
on
works
paper.
Yeah,
That sounds messy.
no, you have to put the paper down, otherwise you make a mess. Yeah, no, on paper should work. Execution not great. Yeah, not a lot going on content wise with these to really talk about. Other than the fact that very strange that Drive-Away Dolls has a very small cameo from Pedro Pascal.
Oh god, he gets around.
Like that's like a big star, and he gets killed off within like the first 5 minutes.
Is that not like the joke though?
Maybe
they get rid of him real quick. He probably like just popped over for an afternoon.
Yeah,
like, let's get him in.
He just happened to be in the studio and was like, do you want to film scenes? Like, sure.
I always do think it's really funny to get, you know, like in is it Deadpool 1 or 2 where it's, Brad Pitt
is the invisible one.
Just I always find that really funny when you get a huge star and they're like not in it. It's probably easier to get Pedro Pascal for 5 minutes than it is for a whole thing.
Yeah, but yeah, don't think I'd recommend either of them. Maybe if you're interested in sort of
lesbians.
Yeah, if you're interested in lesbians, maybe give it a watch. If you're interested in weird romances between people and corpses,
there will be people out there that match that
some.
description.
Outside of those two very specific distinctions, I wouldn't recommend.
Speaking of huge stars that are only in the first 5 minutes, I'm going to talk about the TV show version of Mr. and Mrs. Smith, because it's Alexander, I think, Skarsgård, that is immediately killed off in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Because Mr. and Mrs. Smith, there's obviously the Brad Pitt Angelina Jolie film, and, you know, classic good-looking action heroes, super spies. They are killed off in the first 5 minutes, and we are introduced to John and Jane, played by Donald Glover and Maya Erskine, and you are plunged into just this way more interesting take on spy fiction. The action thriller almost takes a back seat to their relationship. It's more about how they are getting on. It's more about the development of their emotional connection. The whole series is structured like a relationship goes. There's the first date, second date, discussions about having kids, possible breakup, infidelity, and all the episodes are sort of named after that, and each one explores those themes while they just happen to be on missions at the same time and exploring these things. And so I just I thought it was a really cool take on all that. And it's the same team behind Atlanta, which is a show that I absolutely love. I'm a big Donald Glover fan. I'm a big fan of the team behind that. And it kind of does have that vibe. It's like what Donald Glover is good at is bringing this like naturalism to it. I'm not talking about like getting nude on the beach. Naturalistic dialogue, like conversations that people would actually have. There's a whole scene where they're kind of drinking with some friends and they're just chatting about like celebrities that have got cooler as they've aged, or it's something like that.
Yeah.
And it's just that like it's not integral to the plot, but it's about the character development and just how they talk to people. And I've always found he's really good at that. Atlanta was really good at just seemingly innocuous discussions, but you get to know the characters through that and just their everyday conversations. And it's less about what's happening, and it's more about who they are. And so they brought that energy to this as well, which I thought was, again, an interesting thing to put next to what is essentially an action thriller.
Yeah.
You know, a spy thriller. And it just works, man. Anything that man touches is gold. Enjoyed it a lot. Hope they do season 2.
Oh, there it is.
Oh my god, it's out already!
Oh, no, sorry, something else. Something else.
Don't do that to me.
It's just a horse.
Don't do that to me. It's just a horse.
It's just a horse passing by, sorry.
Don't know how you mistook.
Really thought it was...
Just like a horse for
really
Mr.
thought it
Swift
was
season 2, I don't know how...
Season 2, but no,
I
it's just a
don't know how you
horse.
mistake
Sorry.
that, okay.
My bad.
And absolutely recommend. Absolutely. Especially if you enjoy the works of Donald Glover, because he brings his classic comedy stylings.
My thumbs up too. It means nothing for me, I didn't watch it.
That's nothing. 2 big thumbs up from us here at HAZMAT.
I guess I can wrap up with the big one.
The big
one, the one that everyone's been talking about for this month, that you were ostensibly, like, you were so adamant that you definitely did not want to watch it.
Yeah, I don't think I really said in the commentaries we did for Dune, but I don't really like Dune. The world doesn't interest me at all. You know, it was a bit of a slog to get through, I think I said I liked it at the time, but it was just because it was better than the David Lynch version. Thinking back, and when I was going through editing, I was just like, I don't know, this doesn't interest me at all. And the thought of having to go and sit for 3 hours in a world that does not excite me one bit was terrifying.
You know what?
So I just didn't.
Yeah, I was in the exact same boat, and then I watched Dune Part 2, and I am actually quite interested in where it's gonna go from here.
Now I'm a Dune super fan.
No, I love Dune. No, there's definitely some things that this series is doing wrong, at least in my opinion. I think it is expected of you to have some familiarity with the lore and with the world going in, because obviously we watched the part 1 and I went to this and I came out of it and I had to Google what spice was. I don't think it's ever really made that clear watching it, but there's lines of dialogue where they say, you know, whoever controls the spice controls the world or whatever.
I know it's sort of an allegory for like oil and stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's not actually oil, it's in their world, you know.
But
that's kind of what it represents. It's the thing everyone's after all the time, why people invade each other and stuff.
I had to look it up, like, because I was kind of in this position of like, it's never been explained to me why this is so precious, why people are so into it, and then I googled it and it's like, okay, spice is like a drug.
The thing with Dune is that I can see that it's good. I can see why people enjoy it.
Why it's like technically,
yeah. You know, I can see that it's a feat of filmmaking and all that stuff. But not for me.
It's one of those things where, because it's sci-fi, you kind of have this expectation of it being so big and grandiose and so different and having so many interesting things going on. It feels a bit deflating when you have a world that is just sand and
the world
nothing
feels
else really
empty to me. I don't even mean just physically because it's a desert. I don't know, the world of it all just feels bland and empty to me.
That was a thing that I didn't particularly like with Part 1 in that when you have a world like that, you have to kind of rely on the characters to be the focal point and be interesting and carry the movie. And Paul Atreides in Part 1 is not interesting. He's a very vanilla, straightforward, clean-cut kind of good guy in that you're supposed to be rooting for him because he has this whole tragedy where his family is attacked and wiped out. He's the last survivor of the Atreides clan. But outside of that, it doesn't give you a lot in terms of making him an interesting character that you want to get behind. Part 2, I think, rectifies a lot of that. You get a lot more about this prophecy that he's part of, where he's supposedly this messiah from the outside world. Paul has these powers, so he's able to do these incredible things. He's able to do these things that the prophecy foretells that he'll be able to do. But there's an explanation for why he can do it, and it's not just like a miracle prophecy thing. So it becomes less about him being this straightforward chosen one hero to actually he's kind of using this prophecy to manipulate these people to get them on his side. I liked it a lot. We talked about in the David Lynch one, the relationship between Paul and Chani isn't really gone into at all. It's much more developed in this one.
Yeah.
I suppose when you have a
I
big
guess
star
they had
like
more time.
big star like Zendaya as well, you're gonna want to give her some screen time, and then that becomes like a point of conflict as well. And I think it's just the moral ambiguity of this character is much more interested than straight laced good guy
Than what he was in the first.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is this a recommend? I mean, most people have already seen it.
I'd recommend this one, especially for Dune fans that haven't seen it. I mean, anyone who is a Dune fan has probably already seen it. For people who have never read Dune, who have never seen it, I'd recommend this, but obviously you're gonna have to watch the first one to kind of understand what's going on. It's one of those ones where I say stick to it because it gets better.
Oh, I mean, you could just go and watch that video.
Could just watch that, sums it up nicely.
Sums it up in like sweet half an hour. You don't have to sit there for ages.
You'll pretty much get it. You'll get the gist.
You get the gist.
You'll get the gist. You'll know
most
what
of it's
happens.
us talking about feeding Timothy Chalamet worms, stuff of that nature. But if ignore all that and just concentrate on like the movie scenes we show, then you'll be fine.
Yeah, if you the movie bits that you really need to pay attention to, like when everyone dies.
Well, I'm glad we're a film channel that has half covered Dune anyway. You didn't, I didn't.
Yeah.
I wonder if we're the only one out there that.
One
of the co-hosts just didn't bother.
I'm not doing it.
I'm not going to bother watching one of the biggest releases of the year. I'm not doing it. You can't make me. I
know the last one won a bunch of Oscars, and I know it's an all-star cast. I'm not.
Don't put me through that, please.
I'm not going.
That is it for the monthly thing, March 2024. And I'm going to end the video very quickly before you can bring up any other films. So thank you for watching HAZMAT, reviewing all the films they watched in March 2024.
If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see us do more stuff like this in the future, you can support the channel by leaving a like or a comment. You can hit the subscribe button as well as a notification bell. That way you'll be alerted to all our more recent uploads. And as always, all of our socials will be listed down in the description.
And join us next time where we go to a nunnery and just start swearing.
I already mentioned a Goofy movie right at the start, bitch. Peace. I'm out.
I forgot you did that. I lost. I lost again. Goodbye, everyone.